Hey there, welcome to my review of a tiny little pocket knife by Schrade, or Old Timer. It's from their Old Timer line of knives, as you can see from the shield on this traditional pattern knife. Okay. Old Timer. So this is the Dogleg Jack, is the colloquial name. It does have one of those weird Schrade codes, 72 OTB. There you go. Make of that what you will, but it's the Dogleg Jack on most of the knife sites. So it's a traditional knife made by Schrade's sister or subsidiary type company, Old Timer. As far as I can tell, Schrade, Old Timer and Uncle Henry all seem to fit under a company called Taylor Brands. And it seems like Schrade contains most of their survival knives, or EDC knives, or just their general kind of experimental kind of new knives. Seems to be their main line. Whereas you get Uncle Henry, who seems to be mainly sort of bone-handled, fixed-blade country hunting knives. And then Old Timer seems to be knives very similar to this one. So it's kind of like their case-esque line of traditional pattern knives. I received this Old Timer during somewhat of a traditional knife renaissance I'm having. Zoom out a tad. Spurned probably when I got my Falkneven F1, which I got at the same time as a Spyderco, and I know it's not super traditional as this, but it's kind of got the basics. It's kind of, you know, small, not particularly confronting looking, and two-hand opening. This one is a lockback, which lots of traditional knives are and aren't. So that was the one that sort of started me off. But I've always kind of been keen on collecting traditional knife patterns like the Open L, which is again sort of a two-hand opening nail nick type knife. This is the number 8, so it's kind of a very big Open L, but there you go. And what else? I love these Gerber LSTs. That's the standard Gerber LST, that one there. Let's move all these up a little bit. Let's create some room. So that's the Gerber LST there. That's kind of your I think this was probably one of the first pocket knives to start straying away from this by using plastics and lockbacks and things like that. It's a pretty old design, relatively unchanged as well. And then things like the Mercator and the Duke, that's the Mercator there. Just kind of like a bit of a bent I went on, where I collected sort of either traditional single knife patterns like these ones, or just got an interest in traditional knives like my friend the Dogleg Jack. So, of all my knives, the one probably most comparable to it is the case, which is this one here. This is my case mini trapper in chrome vanadium. So traditional knives are definitely coming back, I would say. When you read the knife sites, knife literature, follow a few blogs, I'm pretty sure the main thing pushing that is that they're practically world legal. Laws seem to be tightening up everywhere, and there's always going to be a soft spot for these sorts of knives. These are the types of knives your grandpappy used to carry, so they're about as politically correct as you can get in a knife. And secondly, this current market of these really high quality production or custom traditional knife patterns, primarily pushed by Northwoods Knives and their Indian River Jack, and their range of D2 bladed, bone handled, very high fit and finished traditional knives. And Great Eastern Cutlery, sort of probably a notch above Case. Case are also very good. Case, this is about a 50 or 60 Australian dollar knife. Great Eastern Cutlery, the same thing, it costs you about 80 Australian dollars, and a Northwoods mid-hundreds, 150s sort of thing for a 1 or 2 bladed jackknife. Schrade, on the other hand, is sort of probably the lower end of the market in terms of price. So this is a classic pattern, obviously, very similar to this one. It reminds me of the peanut knife pattern, which is kind of a small 2-bladed knife, a bit like a Texas toothpick as well, if it only had the one blade, but it doesn't. It has the second blade there. The similarities are pretty obvious between this and the case. You can just tell it's the same type of knife. It's certainly not, a Spyderco, is it? When looking for pretty standard EDC pocket knife. The criteria are a bit different to when you're looking at traditionals. So when you're after your daily carry, hard use kind of folder, or even just mid use folder like your Spyderco Delica or your Cold Steel Code 4 or something like that, you're after a different set of criteria for it to be good at than these. So in your standard EDC knife, you're after great lockback, great blade steel, nice lightweight, a great pocket clip or retention system. Bit different when you're looking at the attributes of a traditional pocket knife. I think these knives are primarily about fit and finish, appearance, size and weight, as well as the obvious utility of the knife, but they're more accessories than tools, I think, anyway. It's still very much practical accessories, but you're more of a just in case for if you're at somewhat of more of a formal occasion. For me personally, I mean, or obviously people carry these every day as their primaries, and that's fine too. That's just how I see them. Well, I'll go through those categories with this old time here, I suppose. So, with regards to, I'll put the case away for a minute. With regards to fit and finish, for a knife about the third of the cost of a case, the fit and finish of the old timer is exceptional for the money. Okay, the basic tenets in my mind for care of manufacture on a traditional knife are here. So you've got nice smooth bolsters. They've cut a jig down the line of each one of these, which is even on both sides. You want your back springs to be nice and flat and smooth. When you run your finger down them, you don't want to feel any ridges there, which this knife does also very well. You want the bolsters to smoothly join the bone handles. So apart from the obvious purposeful jig cut, these go very well into the bone handles. Again, probably if you spend $150 on one of these knives, it'd probably be even better, but very, very few, there's very little texturing or surfacing you can feel when you run your finger across there or there. And a high level of sort of nice stainless reflectivity on the blade is important to me, I think. Unless you purposefully get, which I did with this one, the chrome vanadium, which has already gone a few shades darker, designed to develop a patina and become sort of pocket worn, like that case there. The minor flaw on this can be found that I can see with my sort of semi-trained eye, but again, I'm not a. If you want to know about traditional knives, you want to know someone who's got a really good eye for them, check out the Apostle P YouTube channel. He just has an eagle eye for all the little flaws and stuff. But this one here, all I can really notice is this pin here, this brass pin, is a little bit, just sticks out like a tiny little bit. But that is nothing that you can notice from the naked eye. You have to like be handling. If you feel for problems, not that I'm not sure if it's even a problem. It doesn't affect how the knife carries because you don't hold the knife like this. You don't hold the knife like that. You just hold it like this, and you can't even feel it anyway. So, yeah, that's about all I can find so far. Classic appearance, mostly aided by the bone handle. This is bone, and it's definitely one of my favourite handle materials you can get on any knife, whether it's old or new. I'd love for a Spyderco to be made with a bone handle. It's just very natural, very warm to the touch. I love the evolving colour you get in it. So you see this one as it starts with sort of a, get some good light on there maybe, get the focus up. You can sort of see it's lighter and then it goes darker and then it goes lighter again, and this side's probably better illustrated of that. So you just get a really sort of, no two knives are going to be the same when you've got a natural material like bone. Yeah, as I said, everything else is quite well finished. The size is minuscule, as you can tell. So this is a, the Victorinox Cadet. That's a knife you probably know the size of. This is a Victorinox Cadet next to this. So very sort of small, thin blade, smaller handle, probably about a 80 or 78 millimeter handle. The blades, yeah, probably about the same size blade. But yeah, very small, delicate little thin knife. The utility is quite sound. Back spring is moderately sharp. You can carve wood by the fire with this, so you can definitely cut paper, open envelopes. This little blade here is really good for sort of making little marks and stuff in your wood. So say if you've got your stick here and you want to just do some little tiny sort of scratches in there. Say you want to carve out someone's name, carve your sweetheart's name into a tree or something like that. It's very easy to control and very sharp as well. If you push it doesn't even fold back on you too badly. You just need to take a bit of care when you're using slip joint knives of any sort, even if they are really strong slips. Materials you get for your, I think it's about 30ish Australian dollars if you hunt around, are really good, probably better than most other traditional knives around the place. I mean, if you went into a standard camping shop, your generic camping shop, you get one of those Excalibur branded knives made of 420 or 400 series stainless. This is made of 440C, which is the good 440. This was probably one of the better blade steels you could get before they went crazy with particle metallurgy and powder metallurgy and stuff like that. 440C used to be the benchmark for pocket knives, really. I mean, it used to, obviously, isn't, you can't pay the bills with used tos, but still very much better than you get. Even with the case stainless is called True Sharp. Doesn't hold an edge as well as this. Victorinox stainless doesn't hold an edge as well as this. The only thing you do get more of in these two is rust resistance. So this one will, and this is if you never clean it or never spray over it with WD-40 or whatever, this will rust slightly quicker on the edge if you just keep staring at your edge. Probably notice a couple of flecks of rust if you just never maintain it. This knife is, the other material, sorry, obviously bone, nickel silver and brass pins holding it together. I think this knife is best for like a mini EDC kit for perhaps knife cautious people you're trying to convince, hey, carrying a knife is actually good, it makes sense. Probably a good knife to try something like that on. So good whittler, it's a good general utility knife, good on softwoods for whittling, like you do some really fine little etchings and stuff like that, pretty cool. The pen blade's good for letter opening, and the main blade's good for cutting up an apple, all that sort of stuff is fine. So if you like traditional knives, you're looking for a very solid kind of first knife maybe for your newfound foray into traditionals that you don't want to spend too much money on. This is a good choice, maybe a good first knife for like a young adult. I'd probably go with a lockback if you're getting it for a really little kid so they can't fold it on their fingers. Perhaps a good Father's Day present for your dad if he's never really had his own pocket knife. Just starting with something like this, it'll remind him of what his dad used to carry or his grandpa even used to carry. Looks very traditional, very cool, very high fit and finish. You're thinking about getting into traditional knives, this will give the experience before you perhaps start dropping more money on the bigger cases or the Falcon U4s or the Great Eastern Cutlery or hell even the Northwood knives, sort of traditional knives. So that is this, the Schrade Dogleg or Old Timer 720 or 720 TB. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.